Volleyball head coach Chris Campbell here for BCEagles.com. Coach, starting off with the Clemson game Friday night, your team won 3-0 and seemed to have everything working for them. Can you talk about the performance Friday night and the importance of picking up a win at home to start off a homestand?
Yeah, well, winning is always nice, right? Winning cures all ills. What I was really happy with and pleased with is just the collective focus of the team, both during that match and in the week leading up in practice. Obviously, we'd gone through a stretch where we've been competitive in a lot of sets, individual sets and matches, but hadn't put a string of play together to come out with a W. Maintaining your focus in that kind of string is really tough. Losing is corrosive. It eats at your freaking soul, and that's for the girls to maintain that kind of focus and dedication, be able to ignore the distractions, keep focusing on just what improvements do we have to make as a team and individually. I was really pleased with that, and for them to come out and take care of business on Friday night spoke to that dedication.
Fast forward to the Georgia Tech game on Sunday, probably one of the closest matches your team has played all season, as 3 of the 4 sets were decided by 2 points, and one of which went to extra points. Can you talk about that game and what was the difference maker in those final deciding points in each set?
Yeah, well, we kind of picked up where we left off playing them down there. We'd lost in 5 at Georgia Tech, and I think it was the same thing. I think 4 of the 5 sets went to 2 points, and 1 or 2 of them went extra points. So we knew this was going to be a very competitive match coming in. Just the matchups, hitting and blocking, were very even. I think you saw that in the course of the match. The we had different standout performances, and we've been in a 6-2 for the first couple of sets. And one of the things that every great team in college sports has, pretty much across the board, you pick the sport, it's the same, is having the depth to be able to accommodate somebody who's not having their best night. And these are college athletes with a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on them, both in sport and in school. Certainly at a school like BC. And not everybody plays perfectly every night. And so to be able to have an overall roster that helps you balance those things out is really, that's what every sport and every school is trying to do. And, we were able to make some subs that helped, and I think that was beneficial. But you're right. There were a couple of sequences where we got stuck in a rotation and couldn't pull ourselves out. And that ultimately is what hurt. And then the flip side is there were a couple of times when we got them caught in a rotation where they were really struggling to score, and we let them out of the rotation by making an error, whether it was a service error or a hitting error, just some little mistake where they didn't have to make a play to get out of the trap that they were in. And it's little things like that, those little circumstances, consistency that we've got to continue to work on and address. And you do that just by raising your skill level, but those are continue to be individual improvements. There are countless times where we were able to do it, but we weren't able to do it every time, and either let them off the hook a bit, or we got on the hook and took us 1 or 2 points longer than it should have to get off.
Both Caddy Workman and Sol Calvete both picked up double-doubles in Sunday's game. Can you talk about what those two have meant to the team this season, and possibly how Workman, being a senior, has mentored Calvete into becoming a team leader in only her sophomore year?
Yeah, well, on any volleyball team, your outside hitters carry the biggest volume of your offense. They get, and the most difficult volume of the offense. They get all the sets where the pass is terrible, where you just got to throw it up and hope they do something with it. So that's the nature of volleyball in terms of the position. So they both have to handle, they have the responsibility of having to be primary passers in our serve receive, to be able to get kills when we're in system at a high rate, 60 or 70%, and to be able to effectively handle balls when we're out of system. And for both of them, that they've been up and down over the course of the season on that. It's not an easy job, and on Sunday night they both did that very well, and that's a testament to their work. This was something they had looked at their performances in the past week or two and recognized through stats and through video that there were some things that we needed to get better at, and we needed to raise the standards of what their performance was. And they were on board with it. That was the thing that was so gratifying is when we recognized that changes need to get made. They were on board with doing it rather than just sort of pointing fingers and making excuses. They said, all right, we're going to get better, and they did. And I think you saw that in their performance on Sunday night. And that we need that from them for the rest of the weekends going forward. It's not a finished product. They need to continue to get better. What they've demonstrated is that they're quite capable of doing exactly that.
Next two games are against NC State and the University of North Carolina. What will your team need to do against those two teams to pick up victories?
Yeah, well, both of those schools have a pretty rich volleyball tradition. You play NC State on the Friday night, and haven't had a chance to look at a ton of film yet, but certainly serve and pass, you can dress up volleyball as elegantly as you want. It still comes down to serve and pass at every level. And the more often you're in system, the better your offense runs, the easier it is to play defense. It all cascades down. UNC has a ton of offensive weapons. Everybody on the floor is a threat for them. So it's really important that you have a game plan that at least tries to reduce the number of threats that they can come at you with, that you try to put more of the load on a fewer number of players. And that's true for both UNC and NC State. You approach it the same way, trying to force particular players to have to score more than they normally do. So that strategy, the broad strategy, would be the same for both of them. The particulars about how you go about doing that, that's unique to each team, and that's something we'll formulate as we get a better look at the video.